Hello, everyone out there in internet land. This is the P&J Formula One chat. I'm Phil Lamington with my co-host JB. How you going, JB?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How's things?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Welcome to our debut.
Yes, our debut on internet land.
Mm.
We are officially we're not affiliated with Formula One or anything like that. We're just two guys who just like talking about Formula One and like discussing shit about Formula One.
We are a drop in the ocean of Formula One podcasting.
Oh, we'll be lucky if we get one view, yet alone a like.
That's it.
But I'll be happy with that. You know, at least it'll be one of those YouTube things where you don't have to listen to people sit there and say, you know, click the like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. We're not fucking Watch Mojo, so we're all good.
If you hit subscribe and click that bell, what the hell is wrong with you?
Get a life.
You have something better to do with your life.
Okay, so we've just completed the first 3 days of testing in Formula One for 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty good this year, I must say. It's looking rather competitive.
Times are very close. Also, what I noticed, reliability. I didn't see any engine, besides the gearbox failure.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you should mention that because both Mercedes and Aston Martin are running the Mercedes-designed gearbox, and they've been having gearbox issues. Charles Leclerc had, I think, a turbo failure on day 2, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was on day 2 because his car pulled up.
Yes, he did. I do remember that. He pulled over to the side of the track.
But that has actually really surprised me how much the Ferrari seems to be back in the fight. The Ferrari engine, because you've also got Alfa Romeo is sort of sneaking in at the top rungs as well. So
Early doors.
yeah, true. It is testing, and most people sit there and go, "Don't go off testing. It's just testing." You know, Mercedes is sandbagging. I don't think Mercedes is sandbagging this year.
Mercedes had genuine issues, instability in that car.
Yeah. I don't think the track being a bit dusty would have helped, but I don't think Hamilton is truly happy in that car this year.
I don't think he is either, and let's not forget the DAS system is now officially illegal.
Yeah, which means they're going to struggle heating up those tyres.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a big issue for them this year. I just don't think the Mercedes is the fastest power unit on the grid this year.
Yeah, I think McLaren picked a bad time to switch to a Mercedes power unit, but we'll see.
McLaren has actually surprised me with how good their showing has been during testing. But McLaren looking really good. Ferrari and Alfa Romeo looking really good. Red Bull and AlphaTauri, they are looking really good.
That AlphaTauri looks really slick.
Particularly with Yuki Tsunoda behind the wheel. Perez better look over his shoulder this year. He better really bring the fight to Max this year, because if he doesn't, Tsunoda's there.
They've been singing his praises since Formula 2, so he's definitely fast and definitely talented.
But we'll come back to that in a sec.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to talk about the teams.
Yes.
The teams this year. And we're going to start with Williams. We're going to go over the livery, because I know a lot of other podcasts and stuff have talked about liveries. You know, channels like the F1 Word. If you're not a fan of that channel, please go and subscribe to them as well, because that's a pretty cool channel. And
shout out to those boys.
Shout out to Sean from the F1 Word. Also, shout out to Chain Bear, because his channel is very informative as well. Now that we've done the shameless kiss arsing to people we've never met, folks, I've got to do both the Joe Rogan and the Jamie of this podcast. So
I'm going to sit in the corner here with my microphone and watch.
He's going to be the Ben Shapiro or whoever the fucked up guest is.
the tag along.
So we've got photos up on our screen. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to put them up when we put this video up. But we've got the photos up of the Williams livery. What do you think?
The front reminds me of the mid-90s Williams. That's giving me Mansell feels along the front there. With the white, the blue, the yellow. The back of it, though, looks like they played a little bit too much F1 2020 game and decided to whack a podium pass livery, create a team livery on the arse end of it. Not really sure what that's about, man. Too many colours, too many stripes. But the front reminds me, that's Williams. If they would have carried the front all the way to the back, the white with the yellow and the navy blue, it would have been like the Williams world. It would have brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah, for me, it does actually bring back like the Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve livery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that's what they were going for. I think if they'd put yellow on the tail, like on the rear wing where Williams is, if they put yellow there and put kept the Williams logo in white, but made the rear wing yellow, it really would have felt like, Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve, Nigel Mansell, the Senna killing mobile. I know that was a bit of a low shot.
Rough.
That was for comedy purposes, all right. But yeah, the old Williams liveries of back when when that was their heyday.
Yeah, that was the halcyon days of Williams when they were unbeatable.
And that livery brings those emotions back for me.
And brings the fans of Williams back.
Yeah, that too.
Considering that car's not actually owned by the Williams family anymore.
Yeah, no, that must be slightly disappointing for you, because your Lady Claire is no longer on the grid.
Yeah, my Lady Claire's no longer getting camera shots in the garage, unfortunately.
But,
But, for a car that's not actually owned by Williams, they're very much carrying the heritage on of the team, which is a good touch.
I think that's actually been something that's missing for over 10 years, has Williams being Williams. Like, the last time, really, the Williams looked like a Williams was when they were with BMW engines.
One Pablo Montoya.
And Ralph Schumacher.
That V10. Oh, that V10.
Oh, yeah.
He still is that still the fastest lap around Montoya's? In the V10?
No. I think it might have been broken either last year or 2 years ago.
Stupid downforce. We just want
Stupid sexy Flanders.
Stupid sexy Flanders. We just want straight line speed, and that's what we had. But
I quite like the livery, and I have seen a little bit of footage of the car on track, and it does look quite striking on track. It's a lot better than last year's livery of the white and the light blue, where just looking at it,
the Colgate livery.
The Rocket.
Yeah, the Rocket.
Just looking at it, you just looked at it and went, "That's a back marker."
Yeah,
it looked like a back marker car.
I'm gonna be honest, that sort of looks like a back marker car for now.
I don't think it'll be a back marker though.
Big call. We'll see.
That's a big call. And while we're talking about Williams, then we might as well talk about the driver lineup of George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. What do you think of the driver pair?
The driver pair, well, we know how much talent George Russell has.
Yes.
The heir apparent to Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes seat. You heard it here first.
We will get to that a bit later on.
Plenty of talent. George Russell, very fast driver, very talented driver, very mature driver. Considering how young he is, he doesn't ever seem to lose his cool so much in heated situations. I can't really say the same for Nicholas Latifi, but despite the Williams, having a little bit of testing pace, Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many steps ahead that car's taken. But I do know there's a very talented George Russell piloting it. So maybe you're right. Maybe it won't be a backmarker this year. We'll have to wait and see, I think.
Well, I thought that Nicholas Latifi did all right. Day 2 of testing, because day 1 was Nissani behind the wheel,
Yes.
and then day 2 was Latifi, and then yesterday was George Russell. And clearly, Russell is the better of the two drivers.
Absolutely.
But I think Latifi this year looks like he's doing a little bit better. But it is testing again. We're yet to see how good his actual racecraft is, because last year that car was such a lemon. I'm amazed it didn't fight with the Ferraris and the Alfa Romeos and the rest of the Ferrari powered
Lemons.
donkeys at the back of the grid. Because let's call a spade a spade. I mean, we could enter into the whole controversy about the Ferrari power unit, and everyone's got a theory about it. There was, and I'm a Ferrari fan. Okay, let's knock that one out of the park. I am a Ferrari fan, but even I was like, there's something dodgy here, and I wasn't happy being a Ferrari fan. I wasn't happy that they didn't disclose what was wrong with it. But then again, the FIA actually couldn't find anything wrong with it, but they knew something was wrong with it. And I think the penalty was that they had to run with less horsepower. Or they had to do something that downgraded their engines. Maybe they weren't allowed to develop the engine over the year.
Maybe not. But I mean, the Williams still is seemingly, well, it was the slowest Mercedes-powered car on the track, I think. And let's not jump ahead here. That title of slowest Mercedes-powered car might belong to Aston Martin, but we can delve into that.
Well, I believe the slowest Mercedes-powered car was Sebastian Vettel in his Aston Martin, but he had gearbox issues and so many issues, and I think most of his laps were on the prototype tyre, which the prototype tyre, Sean from the F1 Word and Chain Bear explained it on the F1 Words chat, because here in Australia we weren't allowed to watch testing because the rights to the Formula 1 broadcasting is owned by Foxtel, and Foxtel weren't going to run it, but because of the agreement between them and Formula 1, you couldn't watch it on the Formula 1 website unless you changed your VPN. So that was thanks Foxtel.
So much good.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So I just watched it on Sean from the F1 Words live stream. And they were explaining about the tyres, because there was the C1 was the hard, the C2 was the hard, the C3 is the medium, the C4 is the soft, and the C5 is like the softest of the softs.
Yeah.
And then the prototype tyre was another C3, but all the tyres are made in Romania, but the prototype tyre was made in their factory in Turkey. That's why in the symbol on the F1 website for the timing, it's got T instead of C.
For the testing tyre.
Yeah, for the prototype tyre.
Yeah.
So, and all it was a C3, but made in the Turkey factory. The Turkey factory.
The Turkey factory.
Gobble, gobble.
Well, shall we have a look at the Aston Martin, seeing as we're talking about them?
Yes, let's bring up the Arstown Martin.
It's very green, is it not?
Yeah, but I like the green, and in the photos, because again, we've got the photos up. The photos, it looks really nice in the photos. And then seeing it on track, it really did pop on track.
It did.
The only thing, I think they might have wanted to put a little bit more pink on it for BWT. So that would stand out a little bit more, but the green is very striking on that car.
It is a very actually nice looking car,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have minded seeing the wing design along the top of the engine cover. Just along the top there in front of the Peroni logo. I wouldn't have minded seeing the Aston wing logo back along it like a few concepts I saw, but still a very nice looking car.
Yeah, I really do enjoy that livery. It's very striking, and that's something I've noted with this year's cars is that most of the liveries are really striking.
Yeah,
they really are standing out.
There's not many bad liveries out there. I mean, I took the shot at the Williams livery. I don't like the stripy arse end on it, but most of them are pretty good. What are we thinking of the drivers here? Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll, well, it's nice to see Sebastian Vettel being the relatively happy Sebastian Vettel that we had when he first came to Ferrari again.
Yeah.
Because last year, he after they announced that they were not offering him a contract and he was leaving the team, he looked like, if I'm honest, he could not have given two shit nuggets.
He drove like he didn't give two shit nuggets.
Yeah, he just...
4 times world champions do not drive the way he drove last year.
I don't think he even helped develop the car. Like, he was just like, yeah, it's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the trailer for season 3 of Drive to Survive, and he even says in the trailer, he's like, I'm leaving the team at the end of the season. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
So you know he didn't give a shit.
We're going to get some nuggets of gold out of that, by the way.
Oh yeah,
We're going to... I think some shit's going to come to the surface. Absolutely.
yeah.
But he's walking around now in Aston Martin colours. The weight of the world and the weight of the entire nation of Italy is off his shoulders.
Yes.
And he, hopefully he drives like it and he performs like it. And Daddy Boy Lance Stroll, you know, we saw what potential he had last year at, was it Turkey?
Yeah, it was Turkey.
He took pole by like 2 seconds in the rain. So, you know, for as much as I bag on him personally and as much as...
Everyone bags on him.
for being a pay driver, Daddy's paying for his seat, and that is true. There's no two ways about that. He does have some talent. He does have some talent in changeable conditions.
Yeah.
And I think Sebastian's going to be a very good foil for him to learn off.
Yeah. He needs that that driver in the team that will sort of nurture his talent a little bit.
Yep.
And will work with him. I'm not saying Sergio Perez didn't, but Vettel is a 4-time world champion. He's got a little bit more than what Sergio Perez has.
Yeah, he's got a little bit more poise, a little bit more nous. He knows
Yeah.
he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the driver pairing though. I think they're a solid driver pairing.
I think they're a solid driver pairing. I'm not completely sold on the car yet itself.
I'm more worried about whether the car will live up to the talent of the drivers.
Yeah, because watching testing, it looked very understeery. And yes, they've got the Mercedes 2019 Mercedes nose on it, which they carried over from the Racing Point car.
Mm-hmm.
But everything behind that is brand new, not copied off anyone. Obviously, they've got the floor design, which they've tried to tweak in line with the new regulations of shaving 10 millimeters off the side of the floor, and I think it's 3 mil off the rear diffuser.
Yeah.
To stop the Pirelli tyres, which experienced their highest loading ever last year at Silverstone, hence Lewis Hamilton's tyre failure near the end.
And Bottas. He
Yes.
had a failure as well.
Yeah, well, Pirelli reckons they've never seen forces like that through the car, which is why they've tried to, through the tyre, sorry, which is why they've actually tried to alleviate the issue by giving them less aero to play with. So, We'll see. Well, every car seemed to struggle, and let's not forget, day 2 of testing, there was a sandstorm sweeping across the track, so grip was at a premium anyway. But yeah, first time in how long's it been since Aston Martin was on the grid? Would this be the first time?
Since the 60s.
Yeah. So welcome back to
The
Aston
60s
Martin.
or the 50s. It's one of the two.
Yes,
It's been like 50 years or something.
It's
It's
another-
60 years.
another great British mark back in the British sport of Formula One.
The other thing I don't really like about Aston Martin, and this is only a personal thing, I can't really put my finger on why. I don't like their team principal, Otmar Zafnauer. I don't like him.
He's not a very what's the word? He's not a very nice bloke.
He's to me he just comes across as a slimy politician.
Yeah.
You know,
Me,
he might as well just step aside, just let Lawrence Stroll do it.
yeah.
Because Lawrence Stroll does more talking than Zafnauer does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my personal opinion. I just, yeah. He just doesn't seem like a very dynamic team principal to me.
No, well, hey, if Aston don't fare well, maybe Lawrence will take over the team. Or they'll find a replacement right quick.
Speaking of teams that get taken over, now we're on to the team that I actually think will come dead last this year. Haas. The Russian flag adorning American team, Haas.
Did the Cold War ever end? Did the Cold War ever end?
According to James Bond, it did, but who knows? The Haas.
The Haas.
Well, okay. The car, I'm not a fan of the paint job on that car. It looks like a bottle of Colgate toothpaste.
It looks more Alpine than the Alpine. I actually thought it was like, it looks French. Like, okay, Russia and France have the same colored flags, but I mean, and it's also under investigation from the
Anti-doping.
the World Anti-Doping Association for displaying the Russian flag in, is it international sport?
Yes.
Yeah, which is also illegal.
That's probably why it's got that smiling bit on the end of the front wing, on the end of the nose there.
Mhm.
It's just, it's Ural Kali in their Russian flag just smiling at the doping association going, fuck you, buddy.
We'll see. I wonder by the time it gets to round 1 in a couple of weeks if they'll be forced to change their livery.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have.
It's not going to matter. It's not going to get much airtime coming 20th, is it?
No.
The-
Until someone tries to overtake it.
Until the engine explodes or whatever, yeah.
And I'll come back to that point in a sec.
Mhm.
I'll come back to that point in a sec. Have you noticed on this car, there is not a lot of sponsors on it?
It's a team struggling. It's a team that's been struggling for years to attract sponsors. And that's what happens. I mean, we saw it with McLaren. The Honda days of McLaren when everything was going wrong. And
Thank God for Husky chocolate.
Thank God for Husky chocolate. No, and, sponsors don't like losing cars. Sponsors want to be seen. And they're not going to be seen in 20th place.
You know what? I actually have two theories on why there's not many sponsors on this Haas. Theory number one is the Russian flag livery and Ural Kali being a part of it. And when you point your finger at Ural Kali, I'm probably mispronouncing the hell out of it, but I do not care. In the comments, you can just tell me whatever. I do not care.
The 3 comments we're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all our renter friends just sitting there going, you guys suck.
We do suck, and we know we suck. But,
Yeah,
please tell us factually.
Yeah, so we could delete your comments
Yeah.
and complain to Google about your comments. No,
Like
we
it.
won't do that. We're not assholes.
Like and subscribe, and then get the fuck out of here.
Give me all your money. Well, Ural Kali, that's Nikita Mazepin's old man's company.
Hmm.
And I think the combination of Uralkali, the Russian flag, and Nikita Mazepin's fucking antics in the off-season.
How does he, if it wasn't for the Russian, how does he have a drive?
Because of his old man.
Yeah.
He pumped cash into the team.
His last Formula 2 race, he got 2 5-second penalties in the last 5 laps. Groped that chick on Instagram.
Yeah, and his apology was the most thinly veiled apology ever. Yeah, what doesn't help his cause is actually Gunther Steiner is trying to sweep it under the rug. Which I like Gunther Steiner. I think he's an absolute legend.
He's a great bloke, but
now
that's a team principal under so much pressure with a car that has not performed since day one with Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen.
But here's theory number two. Here's theory number 2 on why there's not many sponsors. It's a name that I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud because I'm just yet another person giving this fucking potato power. William Story and Rich Energy.
Yes, Mr. 561 pounds in the bank.
I think the debacle with him hurt the team more than anything.
He was trying again.
Well, he was bragging a couple of months ago about how he's got a friend who's bought into an F1 team and he's going to be buying into that F1 team, which then raises something that, again, the this isn't my own theory, but I do see some sense in it. I don't think Haas is going to be called Haas at the end of the year. Like next year, I think Gene Haas is going to sell the team to Mazepin's old man. He's going to get out of Formula One because it's been a dead lemon the entire time.
Yep.
And I think old man Mazepin is mates with William Story.
Gonna have Rich Energy Racing.
Yeah.
To go up against Red Bull Racing.
Yeah.
In a battle of the energy drinks.
Yeah. With Monster also being this one of the sponsors of Mercedes.
Lewis Hamilton.
Correct.
It's
an interesting theory.
You know what? Yeah, it'll probably happen.
Until Mazepin's old man asked William Story for the money,
and
he can't come up with it,
and he runs off to Mexico and hides again. I think you're right. I don't think Gene Haas is going to stick around much longer. He's a proud man. He's got a good reputation in NASCAR, in sports cars. His team's one of the best.
And in Indy too, doesn't he? He's got teams in Indy.
Yeah. Oh, he's got his fingers in all the pies in America, and he's good. And his reputation has taken a battering.
And you might not know this, but he actually provides engineering equipment, like all the Haas automation technology equipment, to Red Bull Racing here in Australia with V8 supercars, or Australian supercars.
That makes a lot of sense.
So every other form of sport that the Haas name is in, he is in the top tier.
Hugely successful in every form of sport.
Him and Penske are like top tier.
Yeah, they're big dogs.
And then he's in Formula One where he is just a serial joke.
He's a laughingstock.
And it's such a shame because when this team joined F1,
there was genuine excitement.
I was excited.
Yeah.
I was excited by the team. I thought,
holy shit, an American with history, with a history of success and championships. And it's like, great, we're going to have an American contender against... It's going to be America versus Germany, Haas versus Mercedes.
And when they came in, and I know teams like Williams and McLaren weren't too thrilled about how Haas came in, where they were getting as many factory parts from Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
But sure, you can be like that. You can be an independent or a dedicated person like Williams' team or McLaren. But you want to attract more teams into the sport. I want more cars on the grid.
Yeah.
I want more teams, more drivers,
Yep.
more cars.
I want Porsche. I want Audi. I want BMW, Toyota.
Exactly.
I
And
want a 30-car grid. I don't give a shit what the FIA is like. Oh, 22 is the maximum. Fuck that. I want a 30-car grid.
Well, back in the 80s and the 90s, it was, what, a 26-car grid? And if you had more teams and more cars than that, you had to do pre-qualifying to qualify to go into qualifying.
I don't think we need to go that far. I think you could make the pit lane, what, 3 or 4 bays longer to accommodate 30 cars?
This comes to we've completely spun off the topic, but yeah, they're worried about how many cars they can get on the grid. I think they should more worry about how wide the fucking cars are now.
Yeah, what are they? 2
meters?
Is it 2 meters exactly now?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which means Monaco becomes boring. Abba-jabba-jab.
Monaco's been boring since forever. Since maybe after Ayrton Senna wasn't one-handing it in the wet.
Yeah.
It used to be a thrilling track, but those cars have outgrown that track long ago.
But I mean, so is Azerbaijan.
Yeah, but
Like,
Azerbaijan...
They've got to take that Maiden's Tower lighthouse corner.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we play the F1 video game. We know how much of a pain in the backside that corner is.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the cars are too wide. They've got to fix that, you know.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, I mean, the only way to alleviate that is to stop racing on street circuits, but you're not going to do that. Not with Singapore and Azerbaijan and pumping money into it.
And add to that, there's a third street circuit. this year as
Yes.
well. Not Singapore. Like
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Which is another Herman Tilke designed disaster piece from the progressive country known as Saudi Arabia.
Haven't even seen the layout of the track. It's probably going to be nightmarish.
Oh, it's probably just going to be like Vietnam.
Oh, God.
I'm glad that track is gone bye-bye. Because that was just ridiculous.
We've lost some good tracks over the years, but we've lost some tracks that didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah, we lost some really good tracks. Old Hockenheim.
Old Hockenheim, Istanbul Park. Although, Portimao's back on the calendar this year.
True, so's Imola.
Yes, exactly. Anyway,
Yes.
there's a Haas car in front of us. We should talk about their rookie pairing.
Their rookie pairing, yes.
The only exciting part about the Haas team.
So Nikita Mazepin. And I got to tell you, this next driver I am excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Because his dad to me is the GOAT.
The only exciting part about Haas this year is this man. This boy.
The Mick.
The legacy
Mick
continues.
Schumacher. Who apparently on the timing boards he is taking
MSC.
MSC. Which, seeing that again,
You know what I found out?
What?
Mick Schumacher. I thought it was a spin-off of his dad's name, Michael. Actually named after Mick Doohan.
Nice.
Yes, the 500cc 5-time world champion, Australian Mick Doohan. Michael actually named his son after Mick Doohan. So there you go.
And like I've seen a couple of interviews with Mick Schumacher during the testing this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone's told him that the Haas is a shitbox. Because he is genuinely excited about being in Formula One.
As he should be, because he's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, well, we'll get to something I want to talk about with that a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
I watched F1, the Sky Sports F1 pre-season thing. It was a webcam chat where they had Louise, Martin, Ted Kravitz, and Karun
Chandok. Mm-hmm.
And Martin brought up a very interesting point. He was wondering why Ferrari did not play their, Euro B team, because Haas and Alfa Romeo are both B teams for Ferrari. Why they didn't play their, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it the creative control card. and move Giovinazzi from Alfa Romeo to Haas to partner Mazepin and put Mick Schumacher with Kimi Raikkonen at the Alfa Romeo. That way, putting an experienced driver with a rookie to help them out. Sure, I know Giovinazzi, this is what, his third season in Formula One.
Yep.
But he's got more experience in Formula One than Mazepin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's an interesting question. Why didn't they play that card and put Mick with Kimi?
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think Kimi... I think Kimi is the type of guy who's just like, I just want to, blah, I just want to drive.
He's not exactly. He's not exactly
care.
going to take a rookie under his wing, is he?
No.
He's not that kind of guy. He's never been that kind of guy. I don't believe.
No, but I think in terms of the car setup and car layout and that, he'd be helpful to those guys.
Yeah.
Particularly seeing Haas has said that they're not putting any upgrades on this car this year, and they haven't spent any of their development tokens.
Yeah, they've still got all their development tokens sitting there. So what are they saving it for?
I think I know what they're up to.
Do splurge.
Haas is hoping to get the wooden spoon.
Mm-hmm. So they get more time in the wind tunnel.
Yes.
Yes, the wind tunnel rule. The team at the back of the grid gets more wind tunnel time than anyone else.
And I think
Sliding
they'll use their development tokens later on the year for next year's car.
Do they not carry over until next year?
No.
Very nice.
So maybe they are playing a long game. Maybe Gunther Steiner is willing to sacrifice this year for next year. Maybe my theory before about Gene Haas selling the team, maybe it doesn't quite hold as much water. Maybe Gene Haas is smarter than we give him credit for.
Well, you'd think so. The man doesn't rack up a legacy like his without a little bit of nuance, a little bit of know-how in the racing industry, but time will tell.
But Mazepin has looked pretty quick on track, even in that car. Like he is making that thing. He is somewhat out driving it during testing. I mean, again, we preface it by saying it is just testing. Don't expect any miracles or anything.
Yeah, no, it will still be very much down the back of the grid.
Oh yeah, it's a rolling turd, that thing.
It's not a place where you expect a Schumacher to be, but it's a place where a Schumacher will be this year.
But like Mick Schumacher, and it's known that Mick Schumacher, it normally takes him a season or two to get up to speed. When he, like GP3, took him a season and then he did all right.
Mm-hmm.
F2 took him a season and then the next season. He won F2 last year, didn't he?
Yes, he did over Callum Ilott, who somehow did not get an F1 seat this year.
Yes.
Despite being extremely talented. Also Nick de Vries.
Yes.
And now he's battling away back there as well. But,
money talks and bullshit walks.
Money talks.
And bullshit walks.
That's it. That's why there's Russian flags on an American car.
I have noticed, actually, there is no American flag on that car.
Yeah, there isn't. There's not even a little one. Nope.
Yeah, no, there's no American flag on it.
See, notice the little sponsors on the side wings there are American though. Under Armour, Alpine Star. So
Is
there
that
is
Alpine Star or Alpine Star?
I don't know. Shall we have a look at the Alpine?
We actually brought up Alfa Romeo before, so
Oh,
I was
okay.
going to go to the Alfa Romeo.
Let's have a look at the Alfa Romeo. The flipped livery from last year's, which I think actually looks a little bit better.
I prefer last year's livery. But I'm not saying this is a horrible livery. I still like it. The Alfa Romeo has always looked good, but I just prefer last year's livery. Particularly where the logo is, how it's got the snake and the cross. I preferred that being white and having a red background.
I don't know. It looks pretty cool with the red and the white. I don't know.
But
I think you could cut that cake either way, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. It works either way.
I wish it was as fast as it looks.
It is pretty quick, though.
It does seem to be all right this year. Then
And-
again, it is testing.
Yes, testing. God, we have to keep underlining that.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about the Alfa Romeo, and this is such a nitpicky little thing, but on the end of the nose, the little airbox there, the end of the nose,
Mhm.
last year's one, it was actually in the shape of the Alfa Romeo symbol, like their badge on that they put on their cars.
Yeah.
And this year it's just a round hole. I
Does
kind of liked it looking like the badge, the outline of the badge they put on their road cars. It just gave it that Alfa Romeo identity.
Well, yeah, but how aerodynamic is it? How aerodynamic is a Alfa Romeo Lego-shaped hole, as opposed to just a hole?
True. Yeah,
Okay.
you've got a point there. I will concede that point.
I'm
to
no
you.
aerodynamic genius, but maybe it works better in that shape, which is why they've gone with it.
But it is quite striking.
It is very striking.
As opposed to the Haas, like even on track, the Haas just looks
It's
generic.
terrible.
It looks like a mobile Colgate toothpaste bottle.
It's going to be a mobile too. It's going to have about as much performance as a Colgate fucking bottle.
True.
Yeah.
But the Alfa Romeo in testing actually looked really quick. Like it was threatening the Ferraris, and the Ferraris looked pretty high up.
It was faster than the Ferraris over the first 2 days, and it looked a lot more settled and less snappy than the Ferrari as well.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of the technical staff at Sauber Engineering, which is the actual
Predecessor.
company that makes the car,
Yeah.
because it is still Sauber.
Yeah. They
They just
don't
got
call
Alfa Romeo as the title sponsor.
Yeah.
A lot of the staff that worked on that car are the staff that Ferrari had to move somewhere else in order to stay under the budget cap.
which was introduced this year.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is a smart move.
Yeah.
It's a smart move. Get some of you guys that have talent but you can't fully utilize. Send them to Alpha. Send them to Haas. Get them experience, and then when the older guys at Ferrari, ride off into the sunset, you've got that talent to bring up.
Are we talking staff or drivers or both?
Both.
There's no real old talent at Ferrari yet in terms of drivers, but we'll get to that.
Well, if Ferrari doesn't fix their fucking strategy team,
Yeah.
then we might see a change there.
Yes, we might see a... well, I don't know. I don't see Giovinazzi being promoted to Ferrari anytime soon. I think Kimi's about to... this should be his last season.
I think, yeah.
By all rights.
I think, yeah, this will be Kimi's last season. It's got to be. Like, I mean, he is starting to get past his prime. He's still enjoying driving. He's still competent behind the wheel. And he will be, when the day comes that he retires, that'll be a character that will be sorely missed on the grid.
He will, unbeknownst to everyone in Britain apparently, and Sky Sports especially, is probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular driver on the grid in terms of fans. There's not a lot of people. I don't think anyone hates him.
No.
And for all the pomp and praise they want to shove up Lewis's ass, I think Kimi Raikkonen is very much probably the most popular.
If you want to talk about pomp and praise, though, give me a few minutes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
will talk about someone who... you know who I'm
I know
talking
exactly
about.
where we're going with this.
But I think the driver pairing is actually quite solid. I think Giovinazzi really started coming to his own towards the end of last season.
Yep.
I don't think he will ever end up in a Ferrari.
Which is a shame because you know who was pushing for him to be in a Ferrari a few years ago?
Sergio Marchionne?
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, he got his dying wish with Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, he was also... he did. He did. He got a young, hotshot driver that forced the four-time world champion out of the company. unfortunately. But Giovinazzi's got talent. Kimmy's talent speaks for itself.
And they've got Robert Kubica as their test driver.
Yeah, but he's not the same. He's not 2007 Robert Kubica, is he?
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is helping develop the car. And,
I would like to see Mick Schumacher in that car next year when Kimmy goes. Because we all know where Mick's final destination is going to be, obviously.
Yeah. But I have a theory on who's going to end up in that seat next year. But we'll get to that later.
All right.
So that's the Alfa Romeo.
That is the Alfa Romeo.
And I think the Alfa Romeo will eclipse the Haas. And I think it'll actually do better than the Williams.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a bit of a tight scrap down there, but...
All right. Let's do the AlphaTauri.
I like this car. I think I don't like its paint job. I think the paint job last year, they've inverted the colours. The white used to be blue and the blue used to be white, and it looked a lot better last year. But this thing, I watched it in testing. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
And it does not have this year's Red Bull gearbox.
It does not. Red Bull got their own gearbox, and they kept that. They spent their token points on the new crash structure at the front there.
Yeah?
They've redesigned the front wing, yeah, or they've redesigned the front nose and done some aero tweaks up there. That's where theirs went. But watching this thing in testing, man, very stable, very quick. Probably the most settled car, aside from the Red Bull, on the grid. Very impressed with it. Very impressed with it.
Yeah, with the livery, at first I was like, oh, that livery's a bit meh.
Yeah.
But seeing it on the track, and even looking at the photos now, I'm actually, it's a grower. It is starting to grow.
I will be honest, it is actually starting to grow on me too.
But something that I noticed only last night, or this morning actually, when I woke up and I was watching the highlights, was the mags on it.
White rims.
They're white rims.
Looks sweet.
Yeah, that thing looks sweet. And it's got what was supposed to be next year's Honda power unit in it. And that Honda power unit, and even the Red Bull showed it. We'll talk about the Red Bull in a few minutes. But that power unit, I think that is actually the most powerful power unit on the grid. I think it's got more juice in it than the Mercedes.
Yeah,
that's a big call.
It might do. It might do because Mercedes HPP came out and said they're actually not super impressed with this year's power unit. And we know the Ferrari doesn't look sweet in a straight line still. Renault's Renault. I don't think they've made many gains. So yeah, you may very well be right.
I think they might actually be wrong about the Ferrari power unit. I think the Ferrari power unit has got more pep in it than the Renault again. It might just be maybe a couple of horsepower less than the Mercedes. They have made ground in that Ferrari power unit. But I think the Honda... Oh, pardon me. Because it is Honda's final season in F1. And you've got the engine freeze next year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Honda has thrown everything against the wall. They want to finish with a bang.
That's it.
And I think them finishing with a bang really will be a big FU to McLaren after all that bungle they had with McLaren in 2015 and 2016 and even 2017, where that whole McLaren Honda debacle.
Very poorly managed, might I add.
Yeah, that.
Although, did I not hear that Honda signed on till 2024 with Red Bull? I think they might have extended their stay.
No, that was with MotoGP.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Honda is pulling out at the end of this year, but because they've got Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri, Honda has signed over the IP of the power unit to Red Bull. So Red Bull is going to keep it in-house. And they've let some of the Honda staff have decided they're going to stay on at Red Bull. But Honda has signed an agreement with MotoGP to stay in MotoGP for a few more years.
Maybe I read it wrong.
Which, that baffles me.
What's
That baffles me that Honda's pulling out of Formula One, but they're going to stay in MotoGP. After they sat there and said, oh, all about eco and green and going electric and all that, and yet they're staying in MotoGP but getting out of Formula One.
Well, a MotoGP engine's probably half the size of a Formula One engine.
True, true. I understand that bit.
And Honda's been in MotoGP forever.
They have to be the most successful manufacturer in MotoGP, don't they?
I'm pretty sure they are, yeah.
Yeah. But no, this AlphaTauri, it surprises the hell out of me.
I'm not really surprised. Like, we saw this last year.
I mean, it looked good last year, but this year it looks
probably quick.
good.
And I mean, we've got Yuki Tsunoda.
And Pierre Gasly.
Tsunoda's making his debut, but there's plenty of buzz around him for the right reasons coming from Formula 2.
Yeah.
He's properly quick and properly exciting.
I think that they might actually have one of the strongest driver pairings on the grid.
Yeah, the strongest and most underrated driver pairing on the grid. I think, this car is going to be quick. It's going to be challenging for podiums. And it's got two drivers that can do it.
And Pierre Gasly...
Talented.
Pierre Gasly has not disappointed in testing so far.
No, he really hasn't.
He's been flying under the radar as well, because all the attention's been on the Ferraris being back, Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, and whether they can do it again.
Yep.
Vettel in the Aston Martin. The McLarens having their resurgence.
Yeah.
And, and Max and Sergio Perez. And these guys are flying under the radar.
I don't think they'll be flying under the radar for long, man.
No.
I think this thing's going to be on the podium.
The first race at Bahrain is them coming out from under the radar and going, "We're here and we're gonna start some shit."
They are going to be right on Red Bull's tail. I think they're just gonna. It's going to be good. It's going to be very good. I'm very excited about this car, actually.
And I'm gonna make another big call.
Yeah.
So Sergio Perez only signed a 1-year contract with Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yuki Tsunoda's going to be in that Red Bull next year.
Yeah, maybe. And you reckon Sergio goes back to AlphaTauri? Or goes to AlphaTauri?
I think Sergio's going to end up at Alfa Romeo replacing Kimi Räikkönen.
Who do you think gets the AlphaTauri seat then?
Alex Albon.
Yeah, I feel sorry for that dude. God, he was under a lot of pressure from the start, wasn't he?
Helmut Marko really does not understand the words of "back off, motherfucker." Yeah,
he never has.
He really just heaps it on and then makes stupid comments in the press and then wonders why his drivers don't do so well.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Christian Horner because Christian Horner's got to try and find the balancing act.
Christian Horner did not want to get rid of Albon last year. He fought for him a lot and still lost the battle, so...
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but...
But, I mean, they did the same thing with Pierre Gasly, and Gasly seems to have thrived being back at AlphaTauri. I nearly called him Toro Rosso then.
Same thing.
Yeah, the AlphaTauri, he seems happier there because it's not as high pressure.
Yeah, it's not, and he's just, like the pressure of being in the lead team, or the factory team, whatever you want to call it.
The A team.
Is not on him.
Yeah.
And he is driving as such. It's very, very impressive car, very impressive driver lineup.
Yeah, and I mean Yuki Tsunoda, like you said, he is just. They chucked him in the car and he's hit the ground running.
Yep.
Straight from the kickoff.
Yep. Hit
the ground running. Yeah, so I'm very happy with that car and that lineup. Not like anyone gives a toss about my opinion on that, but you know what I'm saying. Like
That's it.
So then we go from that. Well, let's go to the Alpine. Here we go. You know what? I like this livery.
I didn't like it when I first saw it, but I've seen it out on the track now testing. It looks good. It actually grew on me quite quickly.
Here's the thing, though.
In the flesh.
In the photos, it looks like it's a chrome. Like it's a blue chrome.
It's not.
It's a matte chrome.
It's matte. You just look at it out on track and it like doesn't reflect light, but in the photos it does.
But I like that livery. I really do. It's so striking. I mean, yeah, I do miss the yellow and black of the Renault from last year, but that Alpine, yes, it is a new identity for the same team. But I quite like that livery.
It does look better in the flash. It's one of the ones that actually looks better in person than it does in photos.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. It really does. Is it they're the only team now running Renault engines?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's got to be tricky for this team though, because I mean they're the only team running the Renault power unit, so they're not going to get data from McLaren like last year. With having more teams means you get more data, more info, and you can develop the engine more.
Yeah.
The Renault engine does not seem to be as sluggish as it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think the only thing that really can let down the Alpine, as I bring up this. So we've got the driver lineup.
Oh dear. This is
Here we go.
the pomp and praise.
Everyone keeps talking about the driver lineup for Alpine is so strong. So we've got Esteban Ocon, who
he's fast on his day.
This video is about to get demonetized. All right, language alert for all yous listening at home.
I think we've already dropped a few.
Esteban Ocon is a nothing fucking driver. He has done nothing in his career that is worth a shit nugget. He is just a guy who turns up, jumps in a car, and drives it for 2 hours. You know, big call. I always thought Pascal Wehrlein had more talent than Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he was outdriven by Daniel Ricciardo quite handsomely. He had pace on his day.
He was outdriven by Sergio Perez when they were at Force India.
That is true. That is true.
All he did was crash into Perez every 2 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, he's made a name for himself, but yeah, I don't think he...
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's no Pastor Maldonado. He's not Ricardo Rosset. You know, he's not horrible. He is a meh driver.
He is a mad driver with a overbearing, like, fans love him for some reason. Commentators think
Yeah, you know who doesn't like him?
Yeah.
Max fucking Verstappen.
Yeah, plenty of... Yes, he did. He spun Max out, I remember.
Yeah, did you see
Brazil.
what happened at the Weybridge after the race?
Yes, Max should have punched him in the head.
Yeah, and instead they sat there and said, Max has to go and do this, that, and the other.
Yeah, right.
It's like, no, he fucking deserved that. And also notice that the team does not have an actual dedicated team principal. They've got Laurent Rossi as like the on-track sort of team principal role. And you've got former MotoGP Suzuki boss, David Brivio.
Mm-hmm.
I've butchered his name, but so be it. And he's like the boss of Alpine and Alpine F1. That's going to make it a bit awkward as to who to talk to if you're a driver or a member of the team. Like, who do we talk to get answers? You really need that one person who's got to be the pinnacle of the
Yeah,
pyramid.
you've got to have that talking point, like who's in charge.
Yeah.
Is it the MotoGP guy who is first year in Formula One? I don't even know who Laurent Rossi is. What's he done? Who is he?
He was in the team. Like, he's been part of the team. I think he might have been the number 2 guy behind Cyril Abitbol. Or as someone I've got to mention this because I cracked up. Probably everyone else won't think it's funny, but there was a guy on the F1 page when they announced that Cyril Abiteboul was leaving Renault or leaving Alpine, and he called him Cheryl Abitebox.
Cheryl a beatbox. It's hilarious. Doesn't make him any less of a prick, though.
No, he was a bit of a douche canoe,
He was very much a douche canoe.
but
Well, in that case, I would assume that Laurent Rossi, obviously being a carryover from Renault, would probably be the guy to spearhead this French Revolution. I
Yeah.
don't think...
I think Brivio might be like the helmet Marco
Yeah,
of Alpine.
he's
but-
the face of it, maybe.
Yeah. But then we get to the other driver.
Yeah.
I am sick and tired of hearing everyone talk about Fernando Alonso's return to Formula One like he is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Yes, he is a two-time world champion. But everyone likes to sit there and say, oh, he beat Michael Schumacher. Yes, he won the title of Michael in 2005. Yes, he beat Michael in 2006. If you knew the political bullshit going on in Ferrari in 2006, I'm amazed that Schumacher was challenging for anything. But then he goes to McLaren and makes a royal ass of himself because he can't handle the fact that Lewis Hamilton in his rookie season is not only keeping up with him, but at points doing better. I always go back to the qualifying incident where Alonso stayed in his grid box for a bit too long so that Lewis Hamilton couldn't get out and do another lap.
Mm-hmm.
That's the petty shit. And then, so he goes from Renault. So he started off Minardi, went to Renault, went to McLaren for 1 year.
Yeah,
Went
that was
back-
disastrously well.
When he was leading the championship, and yet Kimi managed to win it in a Ferrari.
Because he was sabotaging his own teammate.
Yeah,
Pro move.
yeah,
Pro move.
yeah.
Can't handle the kid.
And then, he didn't get along with Ron Dennis.
Yeah, it's true, but who did Ron Dennis get along with?
So then he moved back to Renault. Was at Renault for a couple of years. Got a win because his teammate was ordered to crash into the wall. Which is ironic because there was Flavio Brigatore and Pat Fry got done for it. Pat Fry got his thing overturned and is now the guy who's designing the Alpine Renault car.
Well,
So,
Full
yeah,
circle.
I did research.
you did research.
Then he goes to Ferrari, and for 4 years, or 5 years, we were close, but he kicked Kimi Räikkönen out of the team to get the seed.
Mm.
And then with a year left on his contract, he goes, I don't want to be here anymore, and goes back to McLaren
Yep.
to be with the team that he hated Ron Dennis. So he re-signed and went back to McLaren to be with Ron Dennis.
Let's not forget those 4 years at Ferrari when he was losing to Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull. Just how many times he had the chance to get over the hump and win the championship and was so close and so close and so close and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Just couldn't do it.
And then he stays in McLaren, and his his entire stint in McLaren was him bitching about something.
Yeah.
You know, GP2 engine.
Look,
yeah,
he had a lot of right to do that.
Oh, I don't blame him for being mad about the engine.
That Honda power unit in 2015 was one of the worst power units I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Ever.
yeah. But then his last season in F1, he is just complaining about F1 as an entity. You're a driver, mate. Drive the fucking car. Shut the fuck up about the rest of it.
Yeah.
No one cares. You know, if you're not happy in F1, take your ball, piss off to IndyCar and drive in a circle 3,000 times. Oh, you tried that and you failed at the 10 laps left to go or whatever.
You know what I love about this? The power move thing. Remember Abu Dhabi in 2018? After the race when Hamilton and I think it was Max Verstappen was doing burnouts because Hamilton had won the championship and I think Max had won the race maybe. And Fernando drove out there in the McLaren to do donuts because he was retiring. And they showed that for like months afterwards. And
now
then,
he's back.
18 months later, he's back at the Alpine. And it's just like, if you're going to retire, you can't even retire properly.
Oh, well, no. To his defense, I mean, they did the same thing with Felipe Massa. Like, he was supposed to retire, and he crashed out. I think the last race that year might have been Brazil.
Yeah, but people like Felipe.
Yeah. Oh, he was awesome.
Yeah. People like Felipe. People
But then,
don't really
like, he
Felipe.
retired, but then Rosberg retired after winning the title, so they grabbed Bottas, and they needed a driver at the 11th hour, so they grabbed Massa and put him back in the shitbox Williams.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think Alonso is a little bit different, just because, like, he made a really big hey hoopla about it. Like, he made a spectacle of it that Sky F1 flogged the guts out of.
Yeah.
Whereas Massa didn't make a spectacle of it. Everyone else made it a spectacle for him.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because it's Fernando Alonso and he's the second coming of Jesus. We've been through this.
Yeah. So
ask anyone.
don't get me wrong, though. I mean, Fernando Alonso has looked pretty quick during testing.
Yeah.
But
He's not the same driver he
like,
was.
some people during the thing I watched last night was saying, "Oh, Fernando Alonso is going to win a race. He's going to be on the podium." I think that is a rather large call.
I don't think the car's that good. I don't think the driving talent is there. I don't think the Alpine itself is. He's going to have to hope for some DNFs, hope for a strategic safety car, something.
I think the talent matches the car. The talent isn't fantastic. Yeah, it's a solid lineup, but it's nothing special. And that car is, other than the paint job, is nothing special.
It's still a Renault.
And we are going to hear a lot of team radio of Alonso bitching and moaning and bitching and bitching and bitching and bitching and bitching
Yeah.
and bitching
And very much
bitching.
bitching.
and bitching.
Very much so.
So, sorry to all you Fernando Alonso fans out there, but no. And I reckon, because he signed, what, a 2-year deal, I think, with
How
Alpine.
old is he now?
39? 40?
Yeah, right. I mean, I say that knowing that Kimi Raikkonen is still on the grid, but
Kimi Raikkonen's 41. He's going to be 42 at the end of the season.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Right, so now we'll do the Red Bull.
We will do the Red Bull.
Doing the Red Bull. So the car looks basically the same. It just doesn't have the Aston Martin icon on it anymore.
They've pulled the Aston logo off and put the Honda logo on. Fair enough.
Yeah. Other than that, it looks the same.
Oh, it's got the Telcel logo at the front. That's Sergio's touch.
Ah, okay.
That Telcel, I'm pretty sure, is a Mexico phone company or something
Yeah.
that supports Sergio. So that's some.
I thought BWT was also Sergio's.
No, man,
sponsor.
BWT is that's Stroll's thing, isn't it?
No.
Oh,
No.
maybe not.
No.
But no, that Telcel logo is definitely Sergio's doing.
Yeah.
But great looking car. Great looking car, still matte, still good, and probably the strongest car at testing.
Yeah. Yeah, that car looked quick. It looked like normally with Red Bull at the start of the season, they go the wrong way aerodynamically, and then they spend the first half of the season trying to come back, and then they find the sweet spot and the car starts doing all right. I think they've actually hit it right from the kickoff. And I like I said with AlphaTauri, I think the Honda power unit is the strongest power unit on the grid this year.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, that AlphaTauri is fast. This Red Bull's even faster.
Yeah.
And
it's got the new gearbox.
yes, it has the new gearbox in it and a few aero tweaks.
And then we get the driver lineup.
Ugh, what a great driver lineup. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think Perez and Verstappen will complement each other, but I also think that Perez will show no quarter with
Max.
Max.
Yeah, Perez will do what Christian Horner wanted Albon to do. Instead of finishing 5th and 6th, he's going to finish 4th and 3rd.
Where it becomes a little bit sketchy is what are they going to do if Perez is in front of Max? Are they going to let Perez run his race, or are they going to do team orders and tell him to swap around?
I'll be super honest. I think Max is faster than Perez anyway. I mean, Perez is a great driver, race winner last year.
Yeah.
Always been talented, always loved him. Great talented driver. He's got the experience, but Max is the faster driver. I don't think there's going to be too much debate about that. Perez is there to be his tail gunner. Perez is there to pick up more points than what Albon did.
Yeah.
They want these cars finishing 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 3rd. They don't want it being 2nd and 7th. That's not what they want. They want these cars finishing as close to each other as possible at the end of the race. They want Sergio making ballsy moves.
But then it's got to enter into the back of Perez's mind, particularly now after testing, and we'll see how it goes after the first race. But it's got to be in the back of Perez's mind. I've only got a 1-year contract with Red Bull. Yuki Tsunoda is in the AlphaTauri, kicking ass and taking names.
Hey man, it's only testing.
I know it's only testing, but it's still got to enter in the back of his mind. Like, this guy, this rookie from the B team, is looking strong.
With a lot of hype around him.
And I've only got a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
And I'm the B driver in the A team.
Do you reckon, that'll motivate him for better performances?
I think, and this is where I think the problem with the driver lineup will happen. You'll get multi-21.
You'll get Max finishing ahead of Perez and Perez just having to do what he's told.
I was thinking more if Sergio's in front of Max and they asked Sergio to move over and let Max go, Sergio might not do it. He might sit there and say, yeah, but I've got to fight for mine.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight for his seat. But or will he? I mean, yeah, okay, Yuki Tsunoda, I reckon you're going to have to give him 2 years in Formula 1 before you bring up to the A team.
Okay.
Sergio's role is to be what Alexander Albon was not. Just finish on the podium. Just finish as close to the podium as you can.
Sergio has to be this team's Bottas.
Yeah, just be the tail gunner. Just do it better than Albon did it.
Yeah.
That's, I don't think he's going to feel a whole lot of pressure if he's just doing his job.
Yeah, if he puts the performances in.
Just be the tail gunner for Max. Or if Max has problems, try and win the race.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for, I don't think.
And I mean, he has said in interviews that he is here to help the team win the Constructors. He is there to do the team's bidding.
That is exactly it. Yeah.
But it also sounds like PR speak. But if he's doing the PR speak, then he's going to do the PR speak on the track as well. Which means that does show the team that he is a team player and he is willing to play.
He's always been a team player.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But in a fair fight, I still think Max is faster.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see Perez or behind. I'd love to see Perez win 2 races, win 3 races.
I think he'll get on the podium a lot this year.
Yeah, he will. He will get on the podium a lot this year in this car.
It just depends on whether or not him and Max, if they're in a heated battle on track, like when Max and Daniel Ricciardo clashed at Hungary.
Azerbaijan. No, Azerbaijan. Down the front straight.
That too.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it was Hungary.
Yeah, multiple times then.
Yeah. if Perez is going to back off, or if he's going to show no quarter.
I don't think Perez is that kind of driver, to be honest.
I don't know. Look at him and Ocon.
Yeah, I guess.
But they are a strong pairing, strong car,
Yeah.
strong team.
They need to hit the ground running if they're going to take it to Mercedes.
Yeah.
Because, the F1 guys are right. Like, this is the only car that could probably take it to Mercedes from the outset. And
I have this real strong feeling that they're going to be the Constructors' champion this year.
yeah,
I know that's a super big call, but I think that
well,
I
they've
think
got
they're
it.
gonna
They've
be
got it
constructors.
sorted out. Like they've got that car sorted out from the go. I mean, it looked quick in testing, and it's a very strong driver lineup. So
Which then brings us to the other team in the Constructors' equation, Mercedes.
yes, struggled a lot in testing actually.
Well, yeah, they really were surprising, particularly Lewis Hamilton just sliding off the track and spinning it. At one point, he even spun off and sent it into the Shadow Realm. Thanks, Super GT, for that one.
Yeah, buried that thing on the beach.
Yeah. And like they don't have the DAS anymore,
Nope.
which that was what was helping them last year, was being able to get the heat in the tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of races last year. I remember, was it Portimao where Carlos Sainz took the lead after like 3 laps, and then the only reason they got back in that race was the driver aid,
Yeah.
the now illegal driver aid. I reckon Das helped them in the rain at Istanbul. I reckon they had a lot of help with that thing.
Yeah. And if
And
you
now they're all on their own.
if you take that away, they're not going to be able to heat up their tyres as much as last year.
It took a long time for them to get this car right at testing.
And that's always actually been a James Allison design problem. Is he's never been able to get a car to get the tyres up to scratch fast enough.
Yeah, it really struggled to generate heat. But aerodynamically, this car did not look very stable over at least the first 2 days of testing. Very snappy. Lewis put it in the gravel. Did Valtteri do the gearbox?
Yes.
I know the gearbox cocked it as well.
Bottas spun a couple of times too, but I think
Yeah, it's just very aerodynamically did not look great.
But I think on day 2 he actually set one of the fastest times.
Yeah, Bottas did top the timesheets at the end of day 2, but it took them all day to get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And all the really fast times was set during the night when
the track cooled down.
yeah,
Yeah.
the optimal racing conditions.
The sandstorm subsided after DJ Darude finished his set and the sandstorm finished. Ha ha ha. What are we thinking of the paint job? I like it. Black into the silver AMG on the tail. I like it.
That part, yeah, it's all right. It's the Patronus. They keep calling it emerald green. It's aqua.
It's aqua. Of
The
course.
aqua of the Patronus looks cool. I wish they had a little bit more of it.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just glad they've got a bit more silver back on their silver arrow.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm all for the Black Lives Matter movement, and it did ultimately wind up producing one of the best liveries on the grid. But it is a Mercedes. It is a silver arrow. I like the paint job. It's very good.
yeah, and it looks all right on track as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but yeah. Early days, they struggled. Aerodynamically,
Yeah.
it didn't look great. They blew the gearbox.
And again, like I know it's just testing, but I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to have a lot of issues with that gearbox.
Is it a new gearbox? Is that a brand new gearbox? I think it is.
I think it is.
No, I think it is.
And if Aston Martin are running the same gearbox and having gearbox issues, even though they were adamant that they're 2 separate gearbox issues, it's still gearbox issues.
Yeah. Yeah, no, apparently Mercedes, even though they didn't say it, one of the F1 reporters sort of pointed out that the rear suspension assembly is at a different angle this year compared to last year.
Yeah, the wishbone is different.
Yes, which means they may have changed is it the gearbox housing or whatever it is, at the rear of the car? They reckon they've changed, they didn't say outright what they've spent it on, but they do believe it's something to do with the gearbox, and if it is, and they're having issues with it already, that's not a great start for the defending champions.
I heard that McLaren have done something with their gearbox. But we'll get to McLaren in a sec, because we've still got two more teams left to talk about.
Absolutely.
The driver lineup at Mercedes. What do you think?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay. So that same Sky Sports F1 webcam chat thing they did, where they had Louise and Karun and Ted and Martin. Martin did an interview probably a week before that with Lewis Hamilton. And he said that he noticed that Lewis Hamilton is not particularly happy.
Do you think his latest contract is not the contract he was sort of hoping for? It took him a long time to ink that deal.
And, he fired his manager.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, his manager left. He was either fired or he walked on his own. He walked the plank on his own. And he's not happy. He got the contract, but I don't think the contract was what he wanted. And it's only a 1-year contract.
Yeah. And we've speculated about this until the cows came home. It's a 1-year contract if he becomes 8-time world champion.
Well, so Martin was, when he did the interview, Lewis just didn't seem happy at all. And he said, but you've got to be excited about, you could be an 8-time world champion at the end of the season. You're going to hit 100 poles this season. And Lewis turned around and goes, yeah, but, Ferrari's going to have a better engine this year, which means they're going to... And he started perking up when he started talking about the other teams. Like, talking about the Ferrari engine is going to be better and Ferrari's going to be resurgent.
Because he wants a challenge.
And
he hasn't had a challenge, let's be fair.
Yeah,
has not had a challenge
since they've gone to the hybrid. He, except for
Nico Rosberg.
Nico Rosberg and 2018 Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
He has walked it in.
Yeah, he's pissed it in. Easily.
And like he was talking about every other team, and he got excited about every other team, but he is not thrilled about this. He's not thrilled. I think the challenge is gone and he's bored. I also think that he might be a little bit down because, and this is going to sound completely absurd, not that the challenge is gone, but he has nothing else to prove.
If he becomes 8-time world champion, he's literally got nothing left to prove in the sport.
I don't think he wants to be 8-time world champion.
You don't reckon he wants to break?
You know how respectful he is of the past. Like he loves Senna.
Yeah.
He has nothing but respect for Michael Schumacher.
Maybe.
I don't think he wants to break Schumacher's record.
Or if he does, he doesn't want it to be easy.
And I think part of the debate might have actually been the livery of this car.
Was it his call? I mean, he was the first name cab off the rank when it came to supporting.
It was his idea to paint the car black.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, that was him.
That was him. Yeah. It's still a striking livery. I mean, if he wants a challenge, if he takes his foot off the gas even for a second this year, he'll get a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
That Red Bull's right up his ass. The AlphaTauri's right up his ass.
Yeah.
McLaren, a Mercedes-powered McLaren is there. Ferrari, if they can get their aero sorted. If he wants a challenge,
he doesn't have to look far.
Don't go into the season wanting a challenge. Like, if you go 99% out of 100. He's going to find a challenge.
Here's the thing, though. I think he's going to retire at the end of the season, regardless. I think he's gone.
He could be as good as Michael or better than Michael. And, well, he said it. Didn't he say he's not even caring, really, about championships and victories anymore?
No.
He's just trying to make his own legacy as a person now.
Yeah.
As a vegan, Black Lives Matter, whatever that may be.
Political do-gooder.
Fashion designing, tote bag wearing.
He should get in contact with Lawrence Stroll.
What's that?
Well, Lawrence Stroll is a fashion magnate.
Oh,
That's
maybe
how he made
maybe
his
he
money.
will. Maybe he will.
Maybe he's born with it.
Nah,
Maybe it's Maybelline.
President Lewis Hamilton doesn't sound right, does it?
Well, no, but neither does Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Oh. Hey, man, they hand them out like candy now, don't they?
But here's the thing. Lewis Hamilton holds all the cards in the driver deck.
He is the bottom piece of the card pyramid. If he falls over, everything falls over.
If he retires at the end of the season, George Russell will get that seat.
Yep.
If he doesn't retire at the end of the season, Bottas is going to lose his seat because Russell will get it.
Yep.
Because Russell is not going to want to stay in Williams for much longer.
Unless Bottas wins the championship.
Yeah, but if Bottas wins the championship, Hamilton will retire anyway. Hamilton and Kimi are both leaving at the end of the season. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time you've raised that point about wanting to break Schumacher's record or not. And I think he'll be equally content being equal with Schumacher.
Yeah.
Like, you might be right. I don't know if he actually does want to break the record. I mean, you'd be the only 8-time champion in history.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, maybe it would feel empty. Maybe it would be an empty feeling. I don't know, I never really thought of it like that.
Yeah. And as much as... Look, I'm not the hugest Lewis Hamilton fan. Okay? I'll just
Not
make
since
that clear.
not since he left McLaren.
And it's easy to sit there and point your finger at him and say, the whole hybrid era, he's just had gimme championships. I mean, obviously the one Rosberg won, but I mean, he was his teammate, so they both had gimme championships. They've just walked it in. But to deny Lewis Hamilton's talent in the car, and the simple fact that that car is the way it is because Hamilton had a hand in perfecting that car.
Yeah.
So, for me, for anyone to sit there and say, Lewis Hamilton is not one of the greatest world champion drivers of all time, is really kidding themselves.
Yeah, no, he is one of the greatest. I mean, I rag on the guy a lot, but he really is one of the best drivers ever.
I mean, like, my favourite driver of all time is Michael Schumacher. Your favourite driver of all time is Ayrton Senna.
Yep.
Or Ayrton Senna, sorry.
Ayrton.
You got to pronounce his name right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we can get away with the Murray Walker version of his name, it's okay. They were both amazing drivers. It's the same as Niki Lauda.
It's the same argument. It's the
Prost.
same argument.
I think...
Name any champion, and then outside of their era, like, you'll never know. You'll never know.
To be honest, I think if you wanted to nail down someone and call them the GOAT, I would still say it's Fangio.
Yeah.
Because the cars were not what they're driving now.
Not even close.
Not even close.
They were like barrels on wheels.
They were a bomb on wheels.
Yeah, they were.
But also, the safety wasn't there.
You could say that about Fittipaldi. You could say that about Hunt, Lauda.
That's right. But Fangio won 5 world titles driving a bomb on wheels with no safety. It was just jump into a car, slap a helmet on, and just pray to God that you survive. But it is something that will be debated until the end of time.
Of course.
It's kind of trying to figure out what NRL team is the greatest NRL team of all time.
You can't. It's different eras. I mean, that's like Lewis Hamilton and Ayrton Senna, if you put them in, okay, take them back to 1990 in the torrential rain at Fuji or whatever. I don't think Lewis would take the same risk that Ayrton took.
No.
Ayrton was out of his mind, crazy fast.
Yeah.
But Lewis wouldn't take those risks. You
Well,
know?
put Lewis Hamilton and James Hunt's 1976 McLaren at Fuji.
Yeah. He doesn't want to die.
No.
But James Hunt was willing to die for the championship.
That's right.
But, again, it's all speculation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right now, of this turbo hybrid era,
He is the GOAT.
he is the GOAT. He is the GOAT of the turbo hybrid V6 era. Undisputedly.
Bottas, however, he's in a very precarious position.
I think he needs to know that now because I think it's no secret George Russell wants that seat.
I
mean,
I
when
think
Lewis-
it's no secret that George Russell is going to get that seat.
Not only, I think when Lewis sat out with COVID and George Russell took his spot and outdrove Valtteri.
Yeah.
Like, I think that sealed his fate.
And if you watch that race, Valtteri is putting his elbows out. Like, he's trying to assert his dominance over George Russell. And Russell was just not having a bar of it.
Yep. I think that sealed his fate. I think that race sealed his fate.
I think Bottas has been living on borrowed time for so long now that
Bottas is only there because there was no one else to take.
Rosberg's seat.
Yeah, they weren't expecting Rosberg to retire.
Yeah.
And he was just available and half decent in the Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think George Russell outdriving him at the short track Bahrain sealed his fate. Absolutely sealed his fate. George Russell will get one of these two seats
Yeah.
at the end of the year. I think you're right.
It's going to be interesting where Bottas goes, though, after Mercedes. I have a sneaking suspicion he'll go back to Williams.
Yep, George Russell will take his seat, or Lewis's seat. Yeah, what do you think? If Lewis retires, George Russell gets the seat.
Yeah. Then Bottas will stay.
Bottas will stay at Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting, but yeah, I think bottom dollar 2022 or 2023, George Russell will be a Mercedes driver.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The only thing that could throw any sort of a spanner in the works or whatever is if Hamilton decides to retire at the end of the season, Russell gets the seat at Mercedes, and they still get rid of Bottas because they're not happy with him. I think Max Verstappen will leave Red Bull and get the Mercedes seat. It's got to be eaten away at Max Verstappen that if he doesn't win the championship this year, he's got to be sitting there going, why am I still in this team?
That's a big call.
That is a big call.
That's a massive call. Yeah. He'll leave Red Bull just in time. Well, he'll leave for Mercedes just in time for Red Bull to make it click and win the championship. You know, that Red Bull is not a weak car.
No.
That Red Bull is probably the strongest car at testing right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Red Bull's going backwards. They're going forwards. They're going forwards. Every year they've been closer and closer and closer.
Yeah. I think the Mercedes is going to take a step back. It'll still win races. It'll still get podiums.
Yeah.
But it will not be the dominant mobile of 2021.
No.
It'll be like 2018, where they will be on the back foot at the kickoff.
I think the DAS system was their last gasp at staying ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
And it's gone now. And I think the pack is finally going to catch them.
And I don't think the power unit is the strongest power unit on the grid.
They said that. They admitted that. I don't know if it's sandbagging or just PR bullshit. But
I think they are sandbagging a little bit, but not as much as what they've done in previous years.
yeah, no, I think... Yeah, well, they came out and outright said they're not happy with the power unit, but time will tell. It's only
That's
testing.
why they... Well, it's a new power unit. They've changed it and changed the layout on stuff and everything.
Yeah.
You know, if it ain't broke, don't fuck with it. You know?
Maybe they've made it better, and we just don't know. I mean, we've got to wait 2 weeks to find that out.
True.
Wait till qualifying in Bahrain.
But I think Bottas is on borrowed time.
Yeah, we could... Yeah, I think you're right.
He's on borrowed time. Which then This next car is the car that has piqued my interest the most.
It piqued my interest middle of last year when they announced they were going to put a Mercedes power unit in the back of it.
That is the McLaren.
The MCL 35M.
Now, the paint job, look,
Exactly the same as last year's.
yeah, I can't, like, the papaya and blue is very striking, yes, but I kind of wish they'd gone back to the black and silver.
McLaren Mercedes always means black and silver.
You know, even if it was silver and red, like the Vodafone era.
That was a beautiful car.
You know,
But it's still a very nice paint job. I mean, obviously the orange is the Bruce McLaren tribute colour.
very much so.
Yes. Yeah, actually, this team was not allowed to spend any of its tokens because they were the only team over the off-season to put a new power unit in, and they had to homologate the gearbox and the back of the car.
The chassis.
Yeah, they narrowed it in because the Mercedes power unit takes up less space than the Renault power unit.
Yeah.
They've also done a little trick with the rear aerodynamics. You won't be able to see it. They've done something there with the rear aero. I haven't really read into it yet.
Ah, yes. So I was going to talk about this earlier because you were talking about the gearbox on the it was either the Mercedes or the Aston Martin, but it was actually the McLaren, the rear diffuser.
Yes.
So, because McLaren is only running the Mercedes power unit, not taking the gearbox, they're running their own gearbox. That's why they didn't have gearbox issues, because they've got their own gearbox. The gearbox coming out the back actually has a couple of capes that contribute to the double diffuser.
Yeah, they got around it. It wasn't in the regulations that they couldn't do that.
But because it is actually part of the gearbox, I think they're allowed to keep it.
Yeah, it's legal. Yep.
So, good on them for doing that. This
Yeah.
team, again, I highlight it by saying it's only testing, but this team, with their car on track, really hit the ground running for me.
Lando took the timesheets on day one, I think.
And for the majority of the day, it was Daniel Ricciardo who had the fastest time on day one.
Yeah, man.
And
this-
he's been in, sure, he ran the morning sessions, but he was at the top or close to the top every day.
This is what I've waited for a while.
Yeah.
I was so excited getting the Mercedes power unit back in this thing. Because the chassis has been one of the best on the grid for the last probably
Yeah.
2 seasons.
The chassis and the aero
This thing had a great package despite the only thing letting it down
was the Renault.
was the Renault in a straight line, but didn't seem to matter at Monza.
No.
Didn't seem to matter at Austria, the first race back.
I think what sorry to interject here.
Oh,
The things that have hurt McLaren in the last few years, obviously, like, yes, you can point your finger at Honda, but I don't think it was entirely the Honda power unit that was at fault. And when Zach Brown,
yes.
when Zach Brown came in, and then he brought Andreas Seidel in.
Master stroke.
Seidel, the first thing he pinpointed was the aero was not up to scratch, and it was not helping that Honda engine. The 3 things that I don't think were helping the car: the aero, Ron Dennis, and here we go, Fernando fucking Alonso.
Yeah. And you know
Alonso
what?
was not helping.
And neither was Eric Boulier. So,
Eric Buffet.
yeah.
Where is Eric Buffet now?
I have no idea. Good riddance. I don't want to see him on my TV ever again.
No. He's doing something.
He's probably with Alpine.
No, he's not in Formula One.
Oh, well.
Because I saw him somewhere. Oh God, it's either he's with an IndyCar team, or he's with a Australian supercars team.
Well, best of luck to those teams with him in it.
Best of luck in your future endeavours.
Hope you like going backwards. No, ever since Zach
Hope you
Brown...
paid up a lot for the buffet.
That's it. Well, you know what? This team has been going forwards and forwards and forwards ever since Zach Brown took this over.
They came third in the constructors last year, didn't they?
Yes. Yes,
If
technically.
it wasn't for the penalty for
Yeah.
Racing Point,
Yeah.
then they would have gotten fourth.
You know
Well-
what? They fought their ass off for it, and they got some good results.
And they deserved it.
Yeah,
they
God
deserved
damn, they deserved it. Carlos Sainz drove the skin off this thing last year.
And the car is going amazing on track,
Yeah,
and it looks planted.
it was the most planted over the first day and a half. Yeah, it was.
It's been possibly the most consistent car,
No, aside from the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri, yeah.
and the Ferrari. The
Yeah.
Ferrari's been pretty consistent as well.
Yes, but they struggled for outright speed for a while too.
But nothing against Carlos Sainz, but McLaren needed Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris.
Yeah,
You know, Lando Norris, he's got the talent. Ricciardo's got the talent. He's also got the experience and I reckon the leadership.
Norris has the talent. He's just got to refine it. He's
And-
just got to focus it a bit more than he does. He still very much acts like a kid.
And I think Ricciardo will help him with that because Ricciardo acts like a kid as well.
Yeah, but he's a
Ricciardo
mature kid.
But Ricciardo can focus it.
Yeah,
He can focus it when he needs to, and that's what Lando Norris needs, is someone to help him focus it.
yeah.
But also, I mean, look at the entire team. You've got Andreas Seidel.
Yep.
You've got James Key, who designed the car. He used to work for AlphaTauri, for Toro Rosso. And him and Andreas Seidel were the guys who pinpointed that the aero package on the old cars was not good enough.
Yep.
So, and James Key was Adrian Newey's sort of understudy.
Yeah. So he knows how to design a car.
Yeah. So you've got a package that is very is up there with the Red Bull aero package.
It's sleeker than last year's. It's not carrying the heft of the Renault engine.
It's got the Mercedes engine in,
Yeah.
but with their own gearbox that you know does work,
Yeah, it's not blowing up.
and you've got two quality drivers.
Very quality drivers.
Very quality drivers.
You've got Ricardo, who just dive bombs anything that moves. You've got Lando, who is damn quick, damn talented, good over a quali lap, and who's going to be helped a lot, I think, mentally, to focus his youthful exuberance by Daniel Ricciardo. He's got a great mentor to learn off now. Man.
And I think with their attitude as well, and also like Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel seem to have that, not so much a fun culture, but they've got a culture in the team where it doesn't feel like you've got the entire pressure of the world just heaped on you. It's the polar opposite of Red Bull or even Ferrari, like when Sergio Marchionne was alive, where the drivers just had the entire world chucked on their
They're
shoulders.
robots, and they're forced to act like robots.
These guys, it's relaxed.
You watch
look
those.
relaxed.
You watch those unboxed episodes I sent to the group chat.
Yeah.
Like, Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris were just like making practical jokes all year, and laughing, and Lando's like doing backflips and walking on his hands and stuff. And now Daniel Ricciardo is there,
Yeah.
who's the prankster of the entire F1 grid. These guys are going to be hilarious. We're going to get some good shit out of these two.
Oh yeah.
Like, press conferences are going to be hilarious. The unboxed episodes are going to be hilarious.
I think that was something that Renault had last year with Cheryl a Beatbox, was that again it was another high pressure situation, a high pressure team with a culture of being serious, whereas Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel, they're encouraging their drivers to have personalities, to be themselves.
And it's working, and but they can be as funny and hilarious as they want. As soon as the visor goes down,
They switch it on.
they are the most talented. They're quick. They're aggressive. They make moves. They their talent comes to the fore.
And the other thing I noticed about Daniel Ricciardo in particular, he looks like he trusts this car. He trusted the Red Bull. That's why he could do the dive bombs, because he could trust the brakes on that car.
Yeah.
He couldn't trust the Renault. He looks like he can trust this car.
Well,
This looks like the Daniel Ricciardo from Red Bull.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope it is, because
And if you take that Daniel Ricciardo from Red Bull and put him in a car that can compete more than the Red Bull, which I think this car can,
yeah,
you have got one hell of a team, a package,
yeah.
and a driver lineup.
Yeah, these guys are not only going to be fighting for podiums this year, and they're going to get a few. I think they'll be fighting for race wins.
They're going to get wins.
I think McLaren's finally going to break this 9-year duck and finally get a goddamn race win this year.
I think it. This will be ambitious. All right. I know we've just got testing. Ambitious. It'll be a 4-way title fight, not just a 4-way title, a 4-way fight for the mid card. A 4-way title fight.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes, Red Bull. It's the big four. The big four.
Yeah, they're back.
Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, and I think the Fez will be in there too. I
Yeah.
think the Ferrari will be back.
You reckon they can solve their issues?
Yeah.
We've got 2 weeks to find that out. But yeah, no, I was like a kid in a candy store when they announced it, and I'm even more of a kid in a candy store now.
Yeah.
Watching this thing go around the track because it's planted, it's fast, the drivers are fast, and they're confident, and they're cocky, and they're exuberant, and
It looks like a team reborn.
the team's happy.
It's a team reborn.
From what they were in, they all looked like they wanted to neck themselves in the Honda era. This team has clawed its way back
The
to
team-
the front of the grid.
The team has looked like it's wanted to neck itself until they were rid of fucking Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, and you know what? Credit to them. They finally got back to where they wanted to be. And I think this is going to be a breakthrough year.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm real keen to see what this
Yeah.
car can do.
I mean, just seeing this car in testing, I was just...
It's like, holy shit, they're back.
I mean, I'm a Ferrari supporter. You're a McLaren supporter, but I'm a Ferrari supporter. And even I was sitting there going, I want Maccas to do well. I want the McLarens to do well. Because, frankly, I'm sick of Mercedes dominating the sport. And I'm even starting to get, despite how good the car looks, I'm starting to get sick of Red Bull being like the number 2 team. I want someone else. I want teams from the old guard to be resurgent again. I want Williams back up the front. I want McLaren back up the front. I want Ferrari back up the front.
Well, you know what they're going to vote for the best race of 2020? Was Monza.
Yeah.
Because we had an AlphaTauri fighting a McLaren for the win. Mercedes was nowhere in sight. Red Bull was nowhere in sight.
Well, look at the best races in the last, say, 6 years.
And they've all been the ones that the Mercedes conked out.
2016 Spain, when Rosberg and Hamilton crashed into each other, and it was Max Verstappen's first win in his first drive in the Red Bull.
Yep.
That was a great race.
Yep.
Germany, was it Germany 2019?
In the rain.
In the
yes.
rain? Oh. I think you and I were watching that together, and it was just, it was edgy as seat
It
stuff.
was crazy. It was so good. That was a great race.
Istanbul last year.
That was a good race. And you know what? Lewis deserved to win that race. That was ballsy.
Oh, yeah.
That was a ballsy drive.
Yeah.
That was a ballsy drive. But yeah, you know, Monza, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying not to yell because Carlos Sainz is like 1.5 seconds behind Gasly. And we've just got this great... When's the last time we had a last lap battle like that for a win? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I can't remember, but we've got this McLaren pushing this AlphaTauri, the 2 mid-card teams at the front of the pack fighting for a race win. And it was phenomenal. It was what Formula One has been missing for a decade.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And all this stuff, like this team, like McLaren, and all these teams being resurgent, it's not just the teams themselves fighting back. I actually like what Ross Brawn is doing as like the guy in charge of Formula One. Him and Stefano Domenicali are really trying to improve the on-track action for Formula One, which, and I'm not sitting here blowing smoke up Formula One's ass, but Bernie Ecclestone did more damage than he did good with Formula One, particularly towards the end of his tenure. And then Liberty Media come in and go, how can we fix it? We know how to fix it. We get Ross Brawn in, and Brawn is just throwing everything at the wall. Yeah, people are complaining about the idea of sprint races. How about we give it a try and just see how it goes?
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't pick tracks like Abba-Jabba-Jab or fucking Monaco to do them.
No, if you're going to be a sprint, it needs to be Austria, Monza.
Yeah, I
I feel like the shorter tracks would work better for sprint races.
Yeah, like Imola.
Yeah.
Imola, Austria, Monza,
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah, Canada. There you go. Done.
There's your four.
There's your 4 sprint races.
You know, that give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, Formula 2 does it every weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
They do the main race and the sprint
So
races.
does supercars. Australian supercars. They have the sprint races.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
So-
can work.
And people keep saying, "Oh, it's a GP. It's a F2 thing." So
Give it a shot.
why can't we learn anything from F2?
Yeah, they're the sprint races to determine the grid, right? Was that the concept?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him do the sprint races separate from qualifying in F1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It
Like
depends
for a
on how you-
bonus 5 points.
Yeah, maybe.
Winner gets 5 points, everyone else can fuck right off.
That's it.
Now we get to the last team that we've got to go through, unless I've forgotten someone.
I don't think we've missed anyone.
Ferrari. Scuderia Ferrari, or as some guy up at the local shopping centre near me keeps telling me is Scuderia. Yeah, mate, just because you've got a Ferrari doesn't mean you can tell me how to say Scuderia Ferrari, alright?
He has got a Ferrari, though.
No, he has a Maserati, actually.
Ah,
Yeah, but he sits there and goes, oh, but it's got a Ferrari engine. It's just because it's got a Ferrari engine does not mean it's a Ferrari, alright?
yeah, Ferrari engine, you can, yeah.
Yeah. So, the Ferrari.
It's red.
Yeah.
It's very red,
I don't...
surprisingly.
That green mission win out.
Yeah, that's so off-putting. That
Yeah.
should be white.
But you know that's not going to be on the car on every race. Because some countries have actually cracked down and said, you know, we're the countries that you're not allowed to advertise tobacco.
Yeah.
And that is a vape, because Mission Winnow is Marlboro's vape side.
Yeah.
And they've gone, no, that's still tobacco advertising. So on some tracks, it's not going to be there.
Yeah. Rightly so. It's still illegal. Even as sneaky as they've tried to be with it.
Yeah. Even though I disagree with them cracking up about vapes. Vapes are not that bad. That's better than tobacco.
I'm going to leave that debate there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I've sort of kicked over a hornet's nest with that one as well. So we'll gently, casually back out of that, and we'll talk about the car. I don't mind the paint job. I wish the burgundy would come in a little bit sooner in the car. Like, it seems like it's an afterthought.
It's an afterthought because they celebrated their 1000th race last year. I mean,
Do
Burgundy...
they really want to celebrate that race? They really
mean,
want
no.
to celebrate last year.
It was a shit race, but
It was
For
a
that-
shit car.
for them. Yeah, no, I guess Burgundy, yeah, I don't know. You're right. It definitely... It's like, oh, we should just put some burgundy on it to celebrate our heritage. Whereabouts? Well, we've painted 3/4 of the car, so we'll just put it at the back. No one will notice.
It's like they were started painting it, and then some Italian dudes running on. No! What are you doing? You painted too far.
Yeah.
It needs to be up here.
They ran out of red paint, and all they had was burgundy left. It's like, oh, shit.
And Mario looks at Luigi and goes,
What do we do?
oh. Where do we keep the bananas?
Tell you what, the most exciting part about that car for me is that number 55, because that means it's Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, I was looking at the 16, but
Hey, it's a strong...
the bottom photo has got the 16 on the front and the 55 on the back.
It does, actually.
So, there you go.
Strong driver pairing, though.
Well, with the car, and again, underline it, it is testing. I was actually impressed by the car because it feels like they've got the power back. I mean, yeah, it's not as fast as the illegal 2019 motor, but it feels like they've got something competitive again, as opposed to a shit box that just flukes stuff like last year.
Yeah. I mean, aside from that failure that they had on day one when Leclerc had to pull it over, it did seem like they were struggling. I mean, Leclerc did seem like when he was trying to push for that timed lap, it did look a little loose. It did actually look quite loose. But he eventually nailed one. I think, where did he finish in testing day 3? I think he was actually quite up there by the end of it.
He at the end of testing day 3. Now, don't forget, he ran in the morning.
Okay, yep.
He came 10th.
There was a time, I think, maybe it was day 2 then. He put in a fairly decent lap when he eventually got one together.
He put a 1:30.4 A6.
Yeah. Which was good, because that's what they were running in day 2. I think the fastest lap on day 2 was a 1:30, was it not? That was after the sandstorm, obviously, so the grip wasn't there.
But it's also worth mentioning too, his fastest time was set on the C3, on the medium.
The medium tire, yeah.
He was 1.5 seconds off Max Verstappen's time, and Max set that on the C4? Yeah, on the C4.
Which is the soft compound, yeah.
So, there is some...
Look, there's variance. There's variables. I mean,
yeah.
We've said it all podcast. We've said it all. It is testing. We don't really know what they were doing. They could have been, playing
and also,
with
I
stuff
mean, Charles did run during the morning, whereas Max ran at night.
Yeah.
So it would have been very different track conditions as well.
Absolutely.
I think Charles was going more for long run pace. Yeah,
just
race
probably
pace.
the reliability run as well to see if whatever gremlin they had.
It only had a turbo issue on the first day. The rest of the time it ran fine.
Yeah.
So I think the pace is there, and I think aerodynamically it might need a few little tweaks, but I think it's a contender. I think it's a contender. I'm not saying that because I'm a fanboy. I'm saying it like I think Ferrari are not going to finish 6th in the constructors this year.
No, I think. Well, I mean, the last year's car didn't look bad when it was on. I mean, if you give it the straight line pace back, it could very well be challenging again. And you've got the drivers to do it.
Well, I mean, that was a big.
That was a very big. You seem shocked.
Well, Carlos Sainz finished 3rd on day 3.
Yeah, they did have. I knew someone had pace.
He was 0.65 of a second behind Max Verstappen's number 1 time.
So it's got pace.
And
they finally hooked it up.
And he was running the C4 as well.
Yeah, so it's there. It's there or thereabouts. It's where they wanted it to be.
Yeah, so it's... Okay, here we go. Controversial comment of the day about last year's Ferrari. All right. So last year's Ferrari, the engine was not great. But I think the biggest thing besides the engine and the ramifications of them having to run more, is it more downforce so that they can try and make up for the speed lacking from the engine?
I think it was less downforce.
Less downforce.
Yeah.
Where they flatten everything and make it as streamlined as possible.
Yeah, which means it doesn't grip the road as good.
I think the thing that hurt the Ferrari of last year the most was a very upset and could not give 2 fucks about it Sebastian Vettel. I don't think he worked on that car. I think he just said, yeah, it's alright. Meh, don't care.
Yeah. And Leclerc had issues as well, which, I mean, when the guy who gives a shit is having problems and you're only left with the guy who's not giving a shit, it's not going to bode well. It's not going to bode well, which is why Carlos Sainz is a very good pickup for you guys. uber talented. I'm actually sad he left McLaren, but not going to say no to Daniel Ricciardo.
Well, I'll come back to Carlos Sainz in a second. Charles Leclerc, he is a solid talent. I think Charles Leclerc, he gets a lot of pressure on him at that team. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's the pressure that causes him to crack. But he makes some dumb mistakes sometimes. Oh, LeChuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the pressure of being Ferrari's number one boy, isn't it?
I think he was brought up to Ferrari too soon. I think he needed another season at Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, potentially. Look, he's definitely talented, and he's definitely
yeah.
quick, and he's won races already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe he is lacking a little bit of maturity. But you could probably say the same for, I don't know, Carlos is probably more mature as a driver, but he's still young. I mean...
Carlos has got something that is a bit of an X factor, though.
Yeah, he can get the best out of an average car.
Well, no, I wasn't going in that direction, but you are correct.
Yeah.
Carlos has got an X factor, and Max has a similar X factor. Carlos Sainz Sr. goes to the races.
Mm.
Yeah, you're talking a guy who's a multiple-time world champion in rally. In Carlos Sainz Sr. He goes to the races with Carlos Sainz Jr. He was there at Ferrari when they did the shakedown, and he drove the 2018 car.
Yeah.
So Carlos Sainz Sr., he can sit there with his son and say, "Oi, you need to calm it down. You need to bring it back a peg." He's the voice of reason who can knock him down a notch and get him get him to focus, get him to concentrate, and he is that X factor. What do you agree with that?
No, I believe he can. I believe he also had a very good team around him at McLaren.
Oh yeah.
He is a very level-headed driver, definitely, and I think Charles could learn a lot actually from that.
I think Charles will learn from Carlos Jr. I think he might even go and talk to Carlos Sr. a couple of times. What Charles has now that he didn't have last year and he didn't have the year before is a teammate. Like Sebastian Vettel, once he starts to feel a bit threatened, he becomes very closed off. Like Seb Vettel, he was fine when Kimi Räikkönen was in the team because he knew he could dominate Kimi Räikkönen. Seb Vettel is very much an alpha. Like, look when he was in Red Bull and he did the multi-21 to Mark Webber.
Yeah.
He knew he could do it because he knew he could get away with it.
Yeah.
And then Webber leaves, Ricciardo comes in. Ricciardo starts outdoing Vettel. Vettel just plummets and then goes to Ferrari where he's got his mate Kimi Räikkönen there because he can dominate Kimi Räikkönen. He knows he's the number one driver. Charles Leclerc comes in and they're starting to push Charles Leclerc as the great white hope for Ferrari because Vettel just kept botching it.
Because Vettel choked in 2018.
Yeah.
That Hockenheim sand trap will
Yeah,
never
where
forget you.
he lost it all on his own.
Yep. Yep.
And so Vettel started losing confidence in himself because he was no longer the alpha. He was no longer the number one guy at Ferrari. And then 2020, they said, we're not keeping you because they knew that Charles Leclerc is the future of the company or the future of their drivers lineup. And Vettel just stopped giving a shit. So Vettel was the knock-on effect. Vettel was the quiet Alonso.
Yeah.
He started doing more damage than good at Ferrari. which it's sad.
To be fair, though, they did say they were kicking him out rather early.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, that's right. I don't blame
if
Vettel for
you're-
being bitter about it and going, well, you don't want me, so fuck you, I'm not helping you.
Yeah, I mean, if your workplace rings you tomorrow and says we're kicking you out in 6 months, you're losing your job, are you going to give a shit tomorrow?
No.
Exactly.
But Charles Leclerc has got to calm down, focus, and really work on the car.
And he's got a good...
And stop making clumsy errors and put his elbows out. If he's got to fight Max Verstappen, get your elbows out.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and go, oh, he pushed me off the track. Fucking catch up to him and push him off the track.
Exactly.
You know, you've got to... That's Charles
Exactly.
Leclerc's big problem. His video game counterpart has got more fight in him than his real life counterpart.
Yeah, and the guy who's got fight and desire and will is his teammate, Carlos Sainz. Perfect foil for him.
Now, here's the thing with Carlos Sainz. And this is what I really hate to say. Carlos Sainz in Ferrari. And he signed a 3-year deal. As soon as that 3 years is up, they're not going to re-sign him.
Yeah, his days are already numbered.
Yeah, he is keeping that seat warm for Mick Schumacher,
Yeah,
which is an absolute shame.
it is, because he is a talented goddamn driver.
The only thing is, Charles Leclerc's contract finishes at the same time. If Leclerc hasn't won a title, or if he gets the shits, he might want to go somewhere else, and then Mick Schumacher's in. Could you imagine, though? Could you imagine Charles Leclerc, Mick Schumacher as teammates?
Yeah, I could. I was about to ask you, if push comes, you're not going to cut Leclerc over Sainz.
No.
You're just not. He's younger. He's younger and he's got more raw speed and raw talent than
Yeah.
Carlos, as much as I love Carlos.
And he is a Ferrari Academy driver.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, Mick Schumacher's going to be in that car in 3 years.
Yeah.
It's destiny. It's
Yeah.
not even going to be a debate. Unless they somehow, through some German connection, get him to Mercedes. We want a German driver driving a German car, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think his dad's already cemented his legacy as to where he's going to wind up. Which
Don't
sucks
forget-
for Carlos.
Don't forget, though, Mick Schumacher's manager is his uncle Ralph.
Oh, well, there you go. Problem solved.
And Ralph's son David is in, I think, GP3? GP3, or he
Could
might
have
be
the-
in F2 next year.
Could have the Schumacher brothers or Schumacher cousins.
Yeah. And
Back on track.
Ralph is David's manager as well. Hey, imagine that. David ends up at Williams.
Yeah. It could happen. It could happen.
Yeah. Mick at Ferrari and David at Williams.
Here we go.
2001 all over again.
Yeah. The good, the golden
Just
era.
put a BMW in the Williams. But
Well, we might actually attract some more engine suppliers by then. Who knows?
yeah, well, wouldn't it be nice if BMW would come back? But I think the Ferrari will be challenging. It'll be up there.
I think they've still got some bugs to work out. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I think once they get it sorted, they've got the drivers to do it.
Yeah.
You know, if Carlos is going to be stable and he's going to get solid points and he's fast and he's level-headed, and Charles is a bit crazy and does weird, crazy moves because he's young and excited.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like a Max Verstappen, and this is the same. This is like virtually identical to Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. It's the same concept. You've got the fast older head and the young, aggressive head. But yeah, I think once they get the car sorted out aerodynamically, could very much be a challenger.
Yeah, I don't think there's a terrible amount wrong with the aero package on it, though. I mean, yeah, it's still a little bit slippy, but I mean, if they just tweak a couple of things, then it'll be fine. And I mean, Carlos looks quick at night during the optimal time for the race.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put Charles in that car, race time with the C4 or the C5 and see how he goes, you're going to have something quick. You're going to have something interesting.
That's it.
So I still think it'll be a four-way for the constructors.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
here's hoping.
that might be a really big call, but I think that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
I think the tracks that'll favour the Ferrari, Austria might be, but I think it'll be tracks more like Brazil.
Something short and not having to reach max speed too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it comes back to the aero package because you've also got Red Bull. It's always been very good at those slower circuits, those tighter circuits. But, they've definitely, as I've said, they've got the driver lineup to produce some very good results.
And the other thing, too, is last year, Mattia Binotto organised an entire team sort of restructuring. Because now he's got, like, individual department heads, and they all just report to him. So he's got, like, a guy in charge of the power unit, a guy in charge of the chassis, a guy in charge of the aero, and they all talk to him. Like, all their people talk to them, and then they go and talk to him. So, which is something that Sergio Marchionne didn't like. He restructured the team as well when he was still alive. He went over Maurizio Arrivabene's head and restructured everything and made an absolute bollocks of everything. And then Binotto, as soon as Marchionne died, and I think it was John Elkman took over as CEO of Ferrari, he said to Binotto, what can we do to fix it? And Binotto just said, let me do my thing. And last year they were trying to do the restructuring thing, and now it's set. So I think all the stuff in the background also hurt the team as well. So I think Ferrari is on a trajectory, much like McLaren, to be back up the front.
Yeah, I think the resurgence is coming, and it's only good news for Formula One fans. They wanted to close the gap to Mercedes.
It's so nice seeing the old guard resurgent, though. I mean, even Williams is starting to look better.
Yeah, it'll be good to see if Williams can get back up there in 2-3 years.
Yeah. So that's the teams.
Yes.
And it looks like a very competitive grid and a very competitive season this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, again, it's only testing, but I really...
There wasn't a big variance in times, like, relatively.
No, well, the only big variance was really with Aston Martin.
Yeah.
But I mean, Seb Vettel had nothing but issues with gearboxes and this and that, and it's
probably I mean, it's the one I'm most intrigued about, is seeing if that Aston can come together.
I want it to, but at the same time, I'm a little bit of the mindset of I kind of want them to get the fuck out of the way and let the old guard have a crack at it. Mind you, Aston Martin's sort of lineage goes back to Jordan F1 anyway, so they are kind of an old
sort
guard.
of the old guard.
But it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also liking the calendar.
Yes, I'm very much a fan of the calendar this year.
We've got, because it starts off at Bahrain, and then we go to Monza. Imola.
Yes.
Imola. And then we go to Portimao.
That's a good track.
Spain. I don't like Spain.
Look, man, it's been it's a mainstay. I mean, it's a boring track if I'm honest, but it's a mainstay.
It's a track that, I don't know if you know this from playing the game, but it's a track that you can never get the setup right.
No, you can't.
Because you can either get the first half of the track set up right, and then the last half you fall apart, or the opposite way around.
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, it's a mainstay. It's not good. It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
And then you've got Monaco,
That track should not be there.
and then
I mean-
straight after it is Azerbaijan.
Oh, good. Do you like street tracks, tight racing, and processions?
And no overtaking.
Yeah. Do you like no overtaking at all for 2 rounds?
Only overtaking going into turn 1.
Yeah, pretty much. Or coming out of the tunnel in Monaco, obviously.
Yeah, well. Then you got Canada.
Yes.
It's going to be nice seeing Canada on the grid again.
Yeah, I did miss it last year.
And then your favourite track,
My favourite track.
France.
Yeah, it's a technical track. It's not the
It's a
greatest.
Tilke disaster piece.
Yeah, it is.
Then you got Austria,
Yeah, good track. Open track, fast track.
Silverstone,
Yeah.
Hungary.
hmm
Hungary always throws something up. It is the drunk track because it's always the one that throws up its guts.
It's the giant go-kart track, as they call it.
It's Spa.
It's
It looks like, when you look at the thing on the topographic,
looks like an AK.
no, it looks like an Uzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a gun.
It's a gun.
And then we got the Netherlands.
Yes, we've got Zandvoort back on the calendar.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the track. I'm going to be
It's-
super honest. I played it on the game. I don't like this track.
I
I don't think there's going to be much overtaking.
No, I don't think there will. Well, I mean, we did it in the game, and most of the overtaking I was doing was going into that bank corner, which you see everyone else talk about and go, don't do the overtaking on the bank corner.
Yeah,
I was just throwing it in there. I was just doing get in there Lewis the whole time.
I'll say something sort of controversial. I think this track was made for Max Verstappen's Red Bull. I think it's better. I want to see that homeboy win it, so
I think the Ferrari will do well there, though.
time will tell. Time will tell.
Then you got Italy.
Yeah, Monza.
Monza.
You want Ferrari to do well there.
Yeah, I don't think they will, though.
Yeah, Dragon?
No. I think the Red Bull and the McLaren will do well there. And the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, well, if last year was any indication.
Yeah. Particularly with that Honda power unit. That's just going to be
Yeah,
power.
we will see.
Russia.
Yeah, Sochi.
I don't mind the track from playing it in the game.
Yeah, from driving it as a game perspective, but as a race perspective, one of the boringest races of the
Yeah.
year.
It's got too much runoff.
Unless your Carlos Sainz coming out of turn 2, then it's got no runoff.
Yeah, true. Then you got Singapore.
Good track.
No, it's not. I hate that track.
Spectacle night racing.
You only like it because you've been there twice.
Yeah. It's a good track. It's a challenging track.
Not a good track.
Okay.
Well, at least they got rid of the Singapore sling
Yeah,
part.
it was a crap corner.
Yeah. And then you got Japan,
Suzuka.
Suzuka.
That's usually a pretty good race, actually.
If you've got drivers that are ambitious.
Plenty of ambitious drivers. Like Yuki Tsunoda, that's going to be his home race.
Yeah. Texas.
Don't like this track at all.
No.
Don't like this track at all, but it's probably Lewis Hamilton's favourite track.
I think the McLaren will do well there. The McLaren and the Mercedes.
Yeah, well, this was the track that decided the championship last year. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And don't ever do it in the wet because it's a bitch. Then we got Mexico. Mexico will be a Red Bull and a Ferrari.
Yeah, I
Track.
think so.
Mexico's always been a really good hunting ground for Ferrari. Because the Mercedes always seems to struggle at Mexico. Like, they've won a couple of times, but the
It's the,
engine can't
It's
handle
the altitude.
Yeah, the engine
thin
can't
air.
handle it. Then you get Brazil. I'm going to go on record. I think Brazil should be the track that closes the season. Every good championship has finished at Brazil. mean,
that's
like
going to be a battle.
2007,
That's going to be a Red
2008.
Bull versus AlphaTauri, I reckon. That's going to be a good race.
Yeah.
Melbourne,
Then you got Melbourne, Albert Park.
way down the order.
And it's got that redesigned... Christ, I've got to do the math here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 7, I think it is.
The back straight.
Yeah, they've changed the corner on that to make it less, so you don't have to brake hard for it. It's just a gentle corner now.
Right.
That's going to take away overtaking ability.
Man, that track's hard enough to pass on as is.
Yeah. Saudi Arabia, that's an amazing track design.
What a great track design that
It oddly
is.
enough looks like a TBC.
Yeah.
How did they get that in a street circuit?
How do you drive that?
Did the sheiks just have someone clear off some land?
It's just a giant TBC.
Just a giant. It's even got the arrow tell you what direction it's
So
going.
you start at the bottom of the B and you work your way up to the C. How do you get back to the T though?
Where's the pit lane?
Come back the other way.
And then you've got the final race at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. We
The
can see Fernando Alonso doing
crappiest race on the calendar besides Monaco.
It really has not been that interesting of a race the last few years.
It's never been that interesting a race.
Yeah, I guess not.
You know, it's only interesting when we drive it in the game
Well, yeah, maybe.
because well, the championship isn't already fucking decided.
Usually is. But
Yeah, but yeah, I like having a lot of races in this year's championship.
this is the biggest calendar ever, isn't it?
23 races.
23 races is the longest calendar ever.
I kind of would like them to ditch Saudi Arabia because that TBC doesn't look very good as a track.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of overtaking
Bring back
opportunities.
Mugello.
They wanted to, but I think they gave Portimao the nod over Mugello. Yeah, but, Saudi Arabia is where the money is, man.
Yeah, it's
They
true.
like races, and at least the Vietnam track's not here anymore.
Yeah, and, they're not going to be like Vince McMahon where if you don't pay him the money, he'll cut the broadcast halfway through the show.
That's
So,
true.
and then they'll hold all the talent on the plane runway.
Yep.
Except for Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar who got out on their own plane. Anyway, that's for the other channel.
Yeah. We have a wrestling podcast, too.
At some point, yes.
Cool.
But so that's the 2021 grid with all the cars, the drivers, our opinions and stuff. Before we sign off on our final episode, our first episode.
This could be our final
This
episode.
probably will be the final
This
episode.
will be the fun. No one's going to listen to this.
Yeah, 2,000 thumbs down. Yeah, thanks for the fucking
Can't wait.
likes, Before we go, on the weekend, to me, the voice of Formula One, Murray Walker, passed away. It actually hit me really hard when I woke up and saw that, and particularly Formula One and Sky Sports little tributes to Murray. In the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, even the PlayStation video games, when you fired them up, it was always Murray Walker's voice and his Murrayisms or Walkerisms. I think they were called Murrayisms.
Mm-hmm.
Like ones like if is a big word in F1, it's actually F1 spelt backwards.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
great.
Brilliant.
Or
Ambulance.
when he's like, is that insert driver here? If I'm very much mistaken, I am very much mistaken. But
Look, you can't think of many, you can't not think of most of the great moments in Formula One without hearing his voice or thinking of him.
Mansell's tyre blowing out in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Senna and Prost crashing multiple times
Multiple
in Japan.
times.
Schumacher winning championships, Damon Hill winning championships, Jacques Villeneuve, Mika Hakkinen. But even things like at the start of the race, I know David Croft from Sky Sports does the It's Lights Out and and away we go, as Super GT likes to do an amazing cover of. Nothing will ever feel as good as, 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's go, go, go.
That's it.
Nothing will ever sound as good.
That was
as
the
that.
race start of every brilliant championship from every brilliant driver for a very long time.
And for a few years there, every first quarter was, and it's Schumacher takes the lead.
Absolutely was. But you know what? It was a golden age. It was a golden man, a golden voice.
And he, if he was someone like me who wasn't really into the sport, who watched it, his enthusiasm really made it worth listening to and worth watching.
Yeah.
He had an enthusiasm for the sport that made people who weren't fans come into it and be able to enjoy it.
Yep.
It's sort of very polar opposite from, and I get very critical of it, Australian supercars commentary, where they're very sedate, and particularly with Neil Crompton, who I would love to do a PETA's suspension test on his head. He made motorsport worth watching.
Yeah. No, he very much did. Some of the best moments, he was the soundtrack to one of the, the best moments of the 90s, of the 80s. I think probably some of my first memories of Formula One was his voice. I don't think there's going to be, and I mean, David Croft's a great commentator, but I think just for the legacy he's left, you'd be hard pressed to ever top it.
And David Croft, when he said some words about Murray Walker yesterday, like when I woke up, he had like a video, him and Ted Kravitz, and David Croft said when he got the job as the new lead commentator for Formula One, first person he called was Murray Walker, and Murray Walker was very congratulative of him and said, you'll do well. So he was always like a positive influence on the people that replaced him.
He was a positive person. Full stop.
Everyone up and down the grid loved him. Teams, drivers, Bernie Ecclestone, and then there's us as the fans as well.
And that's all really he was. He was just a fan. He was fan of the sport. Like, he never, no ego, nothing. He was just a fan of the sport, portraying his love for the sport.
And he always had great commentary. Cross, I'm trying to think of the word. Chemistry.
Yes.
Commentary chemistry with world champion James Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And then Martin Brundle when he took over. So he always had that, and he always had someone who was very calm and didn't get caught up in the moment like he was to bounce off.
Yeah, exactly.
Which always made the commentary even more interesting.
Yeah.
Even like when you fire up the old PlayStation game, it's his voice doing all the Walkerisms, the Murrayisms, just made it so authentic with the games as well.
And entertaining.
Yeah. And
it was very much Formula One.
And he even, because someone, I think it was Sky Sports, did an interview with Martin Brundle like yesterday. And he said he spoke to Murray at the end of last year, and he acknowledged to Martin that he wasn't feeling very well, he wasn't doing well. But he said, I don't want to bore you with that. Tell me how Sebastian Vettel is doing. He still cared about the sport after he'd retired, after he left.
He was always a fan.
Yeah. So, on behalf of us and probably all 2 people that listen to this, we send our condolences to the family, and we say, as I get a little bit emotional over it, thank you, Murray, for all the memories.
Rest in peace, mate. You will be sorely missed.
So that's the first episode.
That was like a Roman Grosjean going into the barriers at Bahrain. A little bit of a crash test, mate. But yeah, we bored the crap out of people for about 2 hours,
2.5 hours.
Yeah. So I hope you're all thoroughly unentertained. And
leave us a whole bunch of horrible comments in the comment section so I can tell you where to go.
Exactly.
And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us ramble on. It was very raw. Like we said very much at the start, this is very raw. It's not going to be like a, I don't know, a PewDiePie or a Sniper Wolf video where it's edited and chopped up into bits. It is us just having a conversation. We do encourage other people to get in the conversation in the comments below. Like Josh Ravel says on his videos, don't be a menace, which means don't be an idiot, and just keep your comments about the subject, not about how crappy our voices sound.
Exactly. I mean, do, and I'll tell you where to go as well.
Yeah. We're just alienating our entire audience.
Yeah, it's like we love you, but we also probably will hate you, as you hate us.
And if you're a fan of what we do, even if we leave me coughing and choking on my own mucus because I'm getting over a flu, if you're a fan of us, you know all the stuff that every other YouTuber sits there and vlogs. We're not Watch Mojo. We don't really want to sit there and ram it down your throat. These stuff, yeah, you can do it if you want. We're not going to sit there and ram it down your throat. We don't really care if YouTube demonetizes us or not. We're just honest. We're raw. We give people honest opinions. But thank you so much if you have sat through 2.5 hours of us rambling.
I don't know how you've done it. I'll give you a medal in the mail if you can prove you did it.
No skipping. You got to make a video of you watching us ramble on for 2.5 hours.
That's it.
But thank you so much for tuning in. Our next video should be in a couple of weeks after the actual Bahrain F1, when it's lights out and away we go. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Bye for now.
Catches.